The rise and fall of dark web marketplaces, the Silk Road story. The rise and fall of dark web marketplaces, the Silk Road story explained. The hidden market. In the early 2010s, a rumor began spreading across the internet. There was a website, not on Google, not on Facebook, not accessible through normal browsers. On this website, people could buy almost anything anonymously. No real names, no visible faces, no traditional banks. Just code, secrecy, and trust between strangers. This place was called Silk Road. Some called it a digital black market. Others called it a revolution against government control. And law enforcement called it one of the biggest criminal experiments in internet history. But Silk Road was only the beginning. Today, we're going to explore how dark web marketplaces were born, how Silk Road rose to power, how it collapsed, and how its fall changed the dark web forever. This is not a guide. This is not promotion. This is a true story of how anonymity, ideology, and technology collided. Before dark web marketplaces existed, the internet was already changing the world. People were sharing information faster than ever before. Online payments were becoming common, and governments were increasing surveillance in the name of security. After events like 9/11, internet monitoring expanded rapidly. Emails, browsing habits, phone calls, everything could be tracked. This created fear, not just among criminals, but among journalists, activists, and privacy advocates. They asked a simple question: can the internet exist without surveillance? That question led to the development of privacy tools. One of the most important was Tor, originally created to help protect anonymous communication. Tor allowed users to hide their location, mask their identity, browse without being easily tracked. It was meant for privacy. But as history often shows, every powerful tool can be used in unexpected ways. Around 2011, someone using the alias Dread Pirate Roberts launched a website hidden inside the Tor network. This website had product listings, user reviews, vendor ratings, escrow payments. It looked like Amazon, but it wasn't Amazon. This was Silk Road. The name came from the ancient Silk Road trade routes, paths that connected countries through commerce beyond borders. The idea was radical: a marketplace without borders, without governments, without banks. Payments were done using Bitcoin, a new digital currency that didn't require real names. For the first time in history, anonymous money, anonymous browsing, anonymous sellers all came together in one place. Silk Road wasn't just a website. It was a concept. Silk Road wasn't built purely for profit. Behind it was an ideology called libertarianism, the belief that individuals should be free from government control. The creator believed government shouldn't control personal choices. The free market should decide value. Privacy is a human right. On Silk Road, violence was officially banned. Some harmful categories were restricted. Vendors were rated by users. To supporters, it felt organized, controlled, even ethical. To critics, it was still dangerous. This ideological conflict made Silk Road famous. Some saw it as a digital freedom movement. Others saw it as a criminal empire. Both sides were partly right. Silk Road functioned like a modern e-commerce site, but instead of credit cards, real addresses, customer service, it relied on cryptography, trust systems, escrow models. Buyers and sellers never knew each other's real identities. Reputation was everything. A good review meant survival. A bad review meant disappearance. This trust system is what made Silk Road powerful. Ironically, the most lawless market had one of the strongest self-regulation systems online. But with growth came attention, and attention brought danger. As Silk Road grew, stories began appearing in the media. Journalists wrote about anonymous drug markets, Bitcoin usage, dark web secrets. Soon, governments noticed. Agencies like the Federal Bureau of Investigation began investigating. But this wasn't easy. Tor hid IP addresses. Bitcoin hid identities. Servers were scattered globally. This wasn't a traditional criminal case. This was a cyber hunt. Investigators had to rely on human mistakes, digital footprints, old-fashioned detective work. Because no system is perfect, Despite advanced technology, Silk Road's downfall didn't come from hacking. It came from mistakes. Tiny errors, an old forum post, a reused username, a moment of carelessness. Bit by bit, investigators connected dots. They traced activity back to a real person, Russ Ulbricht, a young, intelligent programmer with strong ideological beliefs. The anonymous pirate was suddenly human. In 2013, servers were seized. The website went offline. Silk Road was gone. Russ Ulbricht was arrested in a public library. The digital empire collapsed in silence. What followed was one of the most controversial trials in internet history. Evidence included server logs, chat messages, financial records. The court didn't judge ideology. It judged impact. Ulbricht was convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. Supporters called it too harsh. Critics called it necessary. The message was clear. No one is untouchable. Many believed Silk Road's end would stop dark web markets. They were wrong. New marketplaces appeared. Silk Road 2.0. Alphabet, Hansa, each learned from the past. More encryption, more decentralization, more paranoia. But law enforcement learned too. And one by one, they fell. It became a cycle. Create, grow, get exposed, collapse. The dark web became a graveyard of failed markets. Silk Road taught the world important lessons. Technology is neutral. It depends on how humans use it. Anonymity is powerful but fragile. One mistake can expose everything. Ideology doesn't protect from law. Beliefs don't erase consequences. The internet never forgets. Every action leaves a trace. Silk Road wasn't just a website. It was a warning. Today, Silk Road is gone. But its influence remains. It changed. Cryptocurrency adoption, law enforcement cyber strategies, public understanding of the dark web. It forced the world to ask, how much privacy is too much? Where does freedom end? Who controls the internet? These questions still don't have easy answers. The dark web didn't begin with Silk Road, and it didn't end with it either. Silk Road was just a mirror, reflecting humanity's desire for freedom, secrecy, and control. The rise and fall of dark web marketplaces is not just a crime story. It's a human story. And as long as the internet exists, the shadows will exist too.